Welcome to United States 24. Supreme Court decision has just rewritten the rules for how police can search your vehicle during a traffic stop. And if you carry a firearm in your car, this ruling changes everything. This is not just about the Fourth Amendment anymore. It directly affects your Second Amendment rights. And most gun owners don't even realize it yet. Let's break it down clearly. What just happened? The Supreme Court issued a 9-0 unanimous decision. In today's divided legal climate, a unanimous constitutional ruling is rare. That alone tells you how significant this case is. The case involved a routine traffic stop. Officers conducted a warrantless vehicle search, claiming they had probable cause. But the court drew a bright constitutional line. It ruled that the mere possibility that a firearm might be present does not automatically justify a full vehicle search. That is a major clarification of your rights. What this means in plain English. The Fourth Amendment protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. Generally, police need a warrant or probable cause or a recognized exception, like officer safety concerns. But here's the key principle the court reinforced. Lawful firearm possession alone is not probable cause. If you are legally carrying a gun in your vehicle, that fact by itself cannot be used as blanket justification to search your car. Why this is so important for gun owners. In some jurisdictions, lawful gun ownership was increasingly treated as inherently suspicious. The logic often sounded like this. There's a gun? That gives us grounds to search. The Supreme Court rejected that approach. The Constitution does not work that way. Your Second Amendment right to possess a firearm does not weaken your Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches. Constitutional rights reinforce each other. They do not cancel each other out. Real-world example. Imagine this scenario. You're pulled over for speeding. You are calm and cooperative. Your state requires you to inform the officer that you are carrying a firearm. You inform them that your legally owned firearm is locked in the trunk. Can the officer now search your entire vehicle? Under this ruling, the answer is no. The officer may ask you to step out of the vehicle, temporarily secure the firearm for safety, but they cannot automatically search your glove compartment, bags, trunk contents, or other areas without actual probable cause. What about nervous behavior? Many people are nervous during traffic stops. That is normal. The court's reasoning makes clear that nervousness plus lawful gun possession, probable cause. Officers must be able to point to specific articulable facts suggesting criminal activity. A hunch is not enough. General suspicion is not enough. Legal gun ownership is not enough. Important clarification. This ruling does not mean police can never search your vehicle. They still can if you are carrying illegally. You are a prohibited person in possession. There is evidence of another crime. They have actual probable cause. What changed is this. Legal gun ownership alone is not sufficient justification. That distinction is everything. Practical takeaways. Know your state's firearm notification laws. This ruling does not eliminate those requirements. Stay calm and respectful during traffic stops. If asked for consent to search, you may politely say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Do not argue constitutional law roadside. If a search happens, document everything and consult an attorney afterward. This ruling strengthens your legal footing, but how you conduct yourself still matters. The bigger constitutional impact. A 9-0 ruling sends a powerful message. Lawful gun ownership is not inherently suspicious. The court reaffirmed that constitutional rights operate together. Exercising one right cannot be used as a pretext to undermine another. That principle extends beyond traffic stops. It will influence how courts analyze firearm-related searches in other contexts going forward. One realistic expectation. Supreme Court decisions do not change police behavior overnight. Policies must be updated. Training must be revised. Lower courts must apply the ruling to future cases. It will take time, but the constitutional foundation is now firmly established. Final summary. Legal firearm possession does not automatically justify a vehicle search. Officers must have specific, articulable, probable cause. Your Second Amendment rights do not diminish your Fourth Amendment protections. Stay informed, stay respectful, and know your rights. This decision changes the legal landscape for gun owners, but only if you understand it. Stay safe, stay lawful, stay informed. Because here's the truth most people overlook. Rights that are not understood are rights that are easily surrendered. A Supreme Court ruling does not protect you by itself. It protects you only when you know how it applies, when you recognize when it's being ignored, and when you respond intelligently instead of emotionally. Let's go deeper. Why understanding? This decision actually matters. When courts clarify constitutional standards, they are doing more than deciding one case. They are setting boundaries for every future interaction between citizens and law enforcement. This ruling reinforces a foundational principle. Suspicion must be tied to criminal activity, not to lawful conduct. That distinction protects more than just gun owners. It protects the idea that exercising a constitutional right cannot automatically make you suspect. If lawful behavior can be treated as suspicious, then no right is secure. This decision pushes back against that dangerous logic. The psychology of traffic stops. Traffic stops are tense. They happen suddenly. Lights flash, adrenaline rises. Even completely law-abiding citizens feel anxious. That anxiety can be misinterpreted. What this ruling quietly does is limit how far subjective interpretations can go. An officer's intuition alone cannot replace objective facts. Courts are demanding clearer reasoning. That shift matters because it moves the standard away from, "I felt something was off," and back toward, "Here is the concrete evidence of wrongdoing." That's how constitutional systems are supposed to function. The balance between safety and liberty. This decision does not weaken officer safety protections. Police still have authority to control the scene of a stop, ask occupants to exit the vehicle, temporarily secure weapons, conduct limited protective sweeps when justified. What it prevents is mission creep. It prevents a lawful firearm from becoming a shortcut to a full evidentiary search. There is a difference between securing a weapon for safety and searching for evidence without probable cause. The court reinforced that boundary. That balance is essential in a free society, why a 9-0 vote sends a strong signal. Unanimous decisions in constitutional cases are powerful. They tell lower courts, this is not controversial doctrine. This is settled constitutional reasoning. That makes the ruling harder to dilute. When justices across ideological lines agree on a constitutional principle, it tends to endure. That durability gives citizens more predictable protection. How this could affect future cases' legal standards ripple outward. Defense attorneys will now challenge vehicle searches that relied solely on firearm presence. Courts will ask, what were the specific articulable facts? Was there actual probable cause? Or was the search based primarily on lawful gun ownership? That scrutiny reshapes legal strategy nationwide. Over time, police departments adapt, policies evolve, training materials change, academy instruction shifts, but that process requires awareness from citizens, attorneys, and the courts. What responsible gun owners should internalize this ruling is not a shield for reckless behavior. It is not an invitation to escalate roadside encounters. It is not a license to challenge officers aggressively. It is a reaffirmation of boundaries. The smartest approach remains: be calm, be respectful, be brief, know the law, document everything. Confidence does not require confrontation. Understanding your rights is strongest when paired with discipline. The importance of articulable facts. You will hear this phrase often: specific articulable facts. That language matters. It means an officer must be able to explain clearly what they observed, why it suggested criminal activity. How those observations justified a search. Courts are increasingly skeptical of vague reasoning. Based on my training and experience is no longer enough by itself. There must be a logical connection between observed facts and suspected crime. That logical bridge is where many searches now fail. The long-term cultural effect. When constitutional boundaries are clarified, behavior changes gradually. Officers become more cautious about expanding searches. Supervisors review reports more carefully. Prosecutors evaluate suppression risks more seriously. That reduces friction between lawful gun owners and law enforcement. Clarity reduces conflict. When both sides understand the limits, interactions tend to be smoother. What this does not change. It does not eliminate. Lawful investigative stops protective pat-downs when justified searches supported by real probable cause, arrests based on actual criminal activity. It does not override state laws regarding carry permits or notification. It does not prevent consequences for illegal possession. The Constitution protects lawful conduct, not unlawful conduct. That distinction remains critical. Why civil liberties are interconnected. One of the most important principles reinforced here is this: constitutional rights operate together. The Second Amendment protects lawful firearm possession. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches. Neither right exists in isolation. If exercising one right could automatically trigger diminished protection under another, constitutional safeguards would collapse. The court recognized that risk and rejected it. That reasoning strengthens civil liberties broadly, not narrowly. What smart citizens do: next, stay educated. Read summaries from reliable legal analysts. Watch how lower courts interpret the decision. Pay attention to updates in your state. Legal literacy is a form of self-defense. You don't need to memorize case citations, but you should understand principles, because principles guide real-world outcomes. A realistic warning: not every officer will immediately adjust behavior. Not every department updates training overnight. You may still encounter outdated assumptions. If that happens, do not escalate. Do not argue constitutional theory roadside. Comply safely. Document calmly. Consult counsel afterward. Rights are best defended strategically, not emotionally. The broader constitutional message: the court sent a quiet but powerful signal. Lawful behavior cannot be criminalized through inference alone. That principle matters beyond firearms. It protects free speech. It protects lawful assembly. It protects privacy interests. It protects ordinary citizens from creeping suspicion. When courts demand real evidence instead of assumptions, liberty expands. Final perspective: this ruling is not about winning political arguments. It is about maintaining structural limits. A constitutional system depends on defined boundaries between authority and individual liberty. When those lines blur, conflict increases. When those lines are clarified, stability improves. This decision clarified a line, and clarity is powerful. So remember, know your state laws, understand probable cause, exercise your rights responsibly, respond intelligently during encounters, protect yourself legally, not emotionally. Rights endure when citizens are informed. Stay aware of legal developments. Stay disciplined in your conduct. Stay grounded in constitutional principles. Stay safe. Stay lawful. Stay informed.